Everyone, my name's Kate Szymanski and I'm one of the facilitators at Quest for Life. Thank you so much for joining me today for Quest Connect. I'm hoping that people are hearing me and that I am live. Um, I'm just going to have a quick look to see if anyone can let me know that you can hear me and that I'm coming through loud and clear. Hopefully I am. So today I am going to be talking about how we can use something like mindful movement to help manage our stress, because I suspect that nearly everyone who is watching this, probably everyone who will end up watching this, is experiencing, like high levels of stress at the moment. Coming off the back of COVID, things have just probably become even more stressful in terms of cost of living, with inflation rising interest rates, what's happening in the Ukraine, tensions around the world, global warming. There just seems to be so much, let alone what's happening in our own sort of individual ecosystem at home and all the stresses that come with that. So I was hoping it might be quite helpful and useful to talk about how we can use mindful movement to really manage that stress a little bit more effectively. So I'm hoping that sounds like something that you're interested in doing, and we might finish off the session doing some mindful movement together. But before we go any further, we're just going to start, as we always do, with our mini meditation coming to our senses. So we're just going to get comfortable. So just getting nice and comfortable wherever you are. Doesn't matter if you're sitting, standing, lying down. I'm gonna close my eyes. You absolutely don't have to close your eyes if you're not comfortable to do so. But I find it's a useful way of cutting out other stimulus and just helps us sort of come into the present moment, which what this is all about. So as we close our eyes, just inviting you to tune into the sensations in the body. So as much as you can, putting all of the thoughts of what's happened this morning, what you've just been doing, just putting them to the side and really dropping into your body right here, right now. So let's start with getting a sense of how our body feels sitting in this position. The contact points between you and your chair, maybe your feet and the floor. Staying with that sense of touch. Tuning into the breath now. And perhaps noticing the sensation of your clothing moving across your skin as you breathe. The coolness of the air on your exposed skin, on your cheeks, on your hands. Maybe noticing the difference between the skin that's covered with clothing and the warmth that creates on the skin. Noticing the coolness of the in-breath through the nostrils and the warmth of the out-breath. Taking all of our awareness now to what we can see, either behind closed eyes or what falls within your gaze if your eyes are open. Even when our eyes are closed, there's always something there to see, to notice. Maybe the quality of the light coming through the eyelids, any patterns you can see, maybe even a sense of color. Just noticing that, trying not to get caught up in any thoughts around it. And let's take all of our awareness now to what we can hear. So just picking up on any sounds that are nearby, any sounds in the room that you're in. Just noticing them. And maybe allowing that hearing now to extend beyond the room you're in. Seeing if you can pick up any sounds externally. I can hear the hum of the traffic. I'm hoping you might be somewhere where you can pick up on some sounds of nature. So you might hear some bird song. It was beautiful last night. I was listening to the rain coming down. And let's take all of our awareness now to our nostrils, and on the next in-breath, noticing any aroma in the air around you. Can you pick up any scent? Taking all of that awareness now to our mouth and all the sensations through the mouth, the warmth of the mouth, tongue, teeth, any taste from what we last ate or drank, just noticing that. Appreciating the connection between our sense of smell and our sense of taste and how intimately linked they are. And now perhaps opening up to all of the sensations all at once. That dance of sensation that's happening in our bodies 24/7, mostly out of our awareness. Maybe one last deep breath in, and just slowly exhaling, feeling that relaxation response that happens on the exhale, and just opening our eyes. Well, I feel better. So I'm hoping that all of you enjoyed that little meditation. That's available on the Quest for Life website as a free download, and it's also can be found on Insight Timer as well, with Patria narrating that. And it's just such a great way to become really super present in the moment, because I think we probably all understand that when we are experiencing a lot of stress, it has a lot to do with what's happening between our ears. And, it's so easy to be catastrophizing, worrying about what might happen in the future, or rehashing the past, sort of bashing ourselves over the head for things that we've done that we thought we could have done better, sort of ruminating on those thoughts. But, the body, our physical body, is always in the present moment. So it's a lovely little hack. So anytime that we can bring all of our awareness to any sensations in the body, we are by definition bringing ourselves into that present moment. So, and that's what this mindful movement is all about as well, is about being in the present moment, but we'll get to that. I wanted to start first by talking about a little bit more about these stresses and how they impact our nervous system. So, I think a lot of people sort of understand that fight flight response, which is the sympathetic part of our nervous system, responding to what our brain is processing as danger. And it's a fantastic response that keeps us safe, and that is essential for us. But unfortunately, what happens to many people in modern day life is that we are in that sympathetic state for prolonged periods of time, which is really that's not a healthy state. There's healthy stress and there's unhealthy stress. And that unhealthy stress is when we're in that state for prolonged periods of time, and can result in really, really not great things. Things like disease, cardiovascular disease. It impacts our immune function. It impacts our cognitive ability, just everything really in our lives. So I think it's helpful to understand a little bit more about the nervous system and how that works, because I find when I have a little bit more knowledge around something, it gives me more awareness of what's happening as well, and it gives you agency to do something about it. So, as I mentioned, when we're experiencing these what we sense sort of danger or stressors in life, back in sort of caveman days, when we were fighting for our lives, literally, when we have this sympathetic response in the body, it's all about going into that fight or flight state. So essentially, all of our resources, all of the blood sort of flows to the periphery. It's not used for it. We don't need it for digestion or anything like that at that time. And it sort of mobilizes us to be able to fight or get the hell out of there to flee. Um, and, you know, I think you all would have seen animals once they've been in this state and they sort of shake it off, if you like. But as human beings, we don't tend to do that. We don't tend to understand that part of it. And our brains can't discern between a a saber-toothed tiger, or perhaps our boss. You know, we're having some problems at work, we're feeling really stressed, we're feeling like we can't actually express what we need. For example, there could be some sort of bullying going on at work, something like that. And our body is having the same reaction to that as if we are in massive distress. So, that goes with modern day living. We all know as human beings, we are constantly facing challenge. And, everything we talk about at Quest is how we can meet these challenges in a sort of more peaceful, a more skillful way to deal with them, because they're going to keep coming at us. And mindful movement is just another way, another sort of tool for our toolkit, if you like. So going back to the nervous system, so the other sort of another branch of the nervous system is our parasympathetic nervous system. And this is the system that we want to be in most of the time. So this is our rest and digest, but more than that, it actually promotes social connection. So when we're in that parasympathetic state, it's sort of like homeostasis, and it actually allows us to connect with other humans more easily. Um, and it promotes all the things that go with good health. And we're able to engage that parasympathetic nervous system often through movement and using the breath, which is what we're going to be doing in our mindful movement portion of today. And we're going to do that all together, actually actively do that together. There is a third branch of the nervous system, which is the freeze part of the nervous system. And this is when we go into immobilization, like complete shutdown. And this is when it's massive, massive. This is our danger mode, like extreme danger mode. So you probably would have heard stories when people have been in traumatic, terrible circumstances, accidents, where things like unbelievable things happen to their bodies, and they have they might have lost an arm, their legs might be caught in a car crash, and they have no memory of feeling any pain whatsoever, because the body is that clever that when these things happen, the brain releases these pain-killing chemistry that is so strong, it literally cuts that off, cuts any sense of pain off for us. So that is the sort of freeze response. And and if you then apply that to animals, when a deer might be being chased, it might play dead, and that's sort of that shutdown, because it's preparing itself to be eaten, and not feel the pain. And I was listening to a podcast the other day. I don't know if you'll find this interesting or not. And she was talking about this happening in people when they're on. There's some videos when people are on rides, and it shows them just literally, just like complete like fainting, passing out, because they are sensing such danger in that environment that they literally shut down and they pass out. So I just thought that was interesting, and so such a great example of how our body is so adaptive to what's happening in our environment. And that's what this is all about, is understanding that a little bit better. So then again, so we can make some choices that really helps us to manage what's happening in our body physically when we are experiencing this sort of stress, and chronic stress in particular. So going back to that point, it's so important that we understand when we are in that fight flight mode, that sympathetic mode. I think we all sort of recognize that feeling in the body. So, because it's happening in our body, these responses are happening in the body. So, if you take yourself to a time when you felt really stressed about something, I would imagine that most likely you're feeling tension through the body. You might feel a little bit uneasy in your stomach. You might feel shaky. Your heart rate's probably elevated as well. And that's because that is the physiological response that's happening to the stressor in our life. And I think it's important to understand that because that's how the mindful movement we can use that to relieve our bodies of that when that is happening. So that's the most important thing, is that we recognize that it's actually happening in our body. Because I think sometimes we can get so used to it that we don't even realize that we are in that state of chronic stress. Because as I mentioned before, so many of us are dealing with such enormous levels of stress at the moment. So again, it's all about becoming aware, and awareness really starts in the body with our stress. So we really need to, I think many of us find it quite hard sometimes to actually get in touch with what's happening physically in our body. So I really encourage those people as much as possible to try and sort of drop into their bodies as much as they can. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we're actually doing the mindful movement together. So really, so mindful movement, like what's mindful movement? What's Kate talking about? It literally is any sort of movement where we're paying attention to what's happening in our bodies. And with the modality of yoga that I teach, which is Drew Yoga, it really lends itself to that mindful aspect because it's really gentle flowing movements, and it's directed breathing as well. So you are synchronizing your breath with the movement. So it's really easy then to actually drop into your body and actually notice what's happening in your body rather than all the thinking that's going on. And every time that we do drop in to the body, into that present moment, we're giving our minds a holiday from the constant sort of rhetoric that's going on there about the catastrophizing, all the things that we think that we need to be worrying about all the time. So it really gives us a little vacation from that when we actually drop into what's happening to our body physically. And look, you can do lots of mindful sort of practices. It doesn't necessarily have to be yoga. There's, Tai Chi, Qigong, just a mindful walking meditation is a form of mindful movement as well. But I just think this is a rather nice way of doing it. And it's something that I think is you can really bring into your daily routine very easily as well. And it's so beneficial to your overall well-being and health and sense of well-being and health as well. I'm just seeing how we're going for time. Just want to make sure that I've got enough time at the end to actually do a really lovely sort of lengthy yoga practice with you that anyone can do. And that's another thing that I really love about Drew Yoga is its accessibility, because it's sort of the antithesis of what I call pretzel yoga, which often is sort of out in the media there. And when people use the word yoga, often they're thinking about those unbelievable positions that some people can get themselves into. Whereas that's really not what yoga is about. It's about, being in the present moment and being really mindful of what's happening. So, these types of mindful sort of movement practices have so many benefits, really. Movement is so essential to our overall well-being. Our lymphatic system, which is a really important part of our immune function, it doesn't have its own circulatory system, so it depends on our movement in order to mobilize the lymph through the body. So that's why it's one of the reasons why movement is so important. Anatomically speaking, we're designed to move. We're like, we've got pumps everywhere. We need to pump our systems to make sure that we remain healthy and we're here for as long as possible in a healthy way. Um, and it really impacts, it's not even just physically, it impacts us on every level, emotionally, you know, incredibly so, mentally. And we know there's so much research out there to suggest that when we're not moving, um, and we are under a lot of stress, there is so many sort of things that happen to us physically, but more so, or not more so, but and so much in terms of our mental health. So there's a lot of increased anxiety, increased depression when we are under too much stress and we're not moving as much as we should. Sorry, as much as we could. Really shouldn't use the should word. Um, don't want to add to your to-do list. And that's another thing, what I'm trying to impart here is some information and some suggestions of how you can really easily do some more of these sorts of practices to help manage your stress. But I certainly don't want to add to your to-do list and think, oh my God, there's just one more thing that I need to do. It's just a suggestion, and I'm hoping when we do some movement today and you realize how enjoyable it is, that perhaps it might encourage you to perhaps see if you can bring this into your daily routine. I sort of find myself doing certain aspects to it. You can do it any time of the day, even if you're standing, even thinking about the way you're standing, your posture, when you're standing in line at the supermarket, when you're walking anywhere, having a sense of how your body's walking, what can you feel in the body? And this again is just taking us out of our heads and just dropping into the body. It's such a relief to get out of here as often as we can. I don't know about you, but man, oh man, this is a dog's breakfast so much of the time. So I get so much relief when I can drop out of my mind into the body. And we know that, meditation is a great way to do that as well. But today really want to focus on the mindful movement part of our toolkit. So what else? So with Drew Yoga, as I mentioned before, it really, regardless of your level of fitness, how your age, if you have any sort of physical limitations, it's one of those modalities that really works for anyone, and even just it works. It's so effective in terms of reversing the impact of us being so sedentary so much of the time. So in this seated position, you think about how often you're in a seated position, driving the car, if you're in front of a computer a lot of the day. And it's all about balance. So we want to, as much as we can, we want to balance that out, physically, emotionally, in every single way. So in saying that, how about we do a little bit of this Drew Yoga together, and let's see how that feels. So I'm just going to get up. I'm just going to move my chair. So hoping that you can stand up and do this with me. I'll just take my jacket off. And really, it doesn't matter what you're dressed in. You can do it really dressed in any way at all. Just make sure you can see me. I've got Ugg boots on because I'm in Sydney at the moment and it's really cold today. So I'm going to leave my Ugg boots on. I can do it in Ugg boots. Okay, so when you first wake up in the morning, one of the best things you can do when you first wake up is shake and bounce. So just make sure you can see me there. So I'm literally just bouncing on my heels and I'm just letting everything go. So bouncing and just shaking my hands. And as I'm doing this, I'd like you to really drop into the body and see if you can notice where you're feeling any tension. And see if you can use the movement and the bouncing to release that tension. And this movement is all about moving the lymph as well, as I mentioned before. So just bouncing, shaking. And then I'm just going to stand a little bit with my legs apart, and I'm literally just going to twist and let the arms go. So I'm not holding any tension in my arms, and I'm picking up the back foot so that I can get a deeper twist, but it's just really gentle. And I'd like you to do this and see if you can notice the sensation of the air moving between your fingers as you do it. So see, what can you notice in the body? So this is all about taking all of our awareness into the body and out of our heads, out of the thinking, just into the being. Beautiful. All right, and now let's just swing out up one way and just feel that nice stretch through the side. And as our arms come down, we're just going to bend our knees and then come up to the other side, and then just feeling that stretch on the other side. Let's come back to the first side, stretching right up, coming back down and up, and just give our arms a little bit of a shake. So I'm just getting that out of the way. And now it's really, for those people who do any cardio through the day, and I just want anyone who has any blood pressure problems, please don't do this. But if you don't have any blood pressure problems and you do any sort of cardiovascular exercise, it's really fantastic for you to get your head below your heart after you've exercised, because it's a great way to oxygenate the brain. So, it's just it's a great thing, position to be in. And it gives us a nice stretch through the legs as well. So I'm just taking my legs as wide as feels comfortable for me. And my feet are parallel. And I'm just going to place my hands just above the buttocks here. And as I breathe in, I'm going to open my chest right up, breathing in. And now as I breathe out, I'm leading with my chest and I'm coming down. And please only do this if you're okay to do it. And the head's just going to drop down. And I'm just going to let my arms come down as well. So the arms are just hanging down. Head's hanging down. Just making sure that you've got no tension through the neck, through the shoulders. And just take a few breaths here. And just noticing the sensation of that stretch through the backs of your legs. And see if you can notice using the out breath when you can start to feel those muscles starting to relax and release a little bit. Just letting the head hang down. And now just placing your hands down on the ground and just bending your knees if you need to, and zigzagging your feet together back to hip distance apart, and then coming up and just standing. Beautiful. All right. So in this position here, we're just going to stand in a way where our feet are roughly, they're parallel and roughly hip distance apart, because it gives us the most stability, because basically we're stacking our hips upon our knees, upon our ankles. And so it gives us a sense of just feeling stable, standing well. And as you're standing here, I just want you to tune into the body. Just have really relaxed shoulders and just let the arms hang really loosely. But perhaps just lifting the sternum slightly, so standing sort of tall, having a sense of being drawn upwards a little bit. And maybe even just having a sense of these core stability muscles being slightly engaged, just to hold you in this position, just sort of standing really well. And as I mentioned before, this is something that you can be aware of a lot of the day, just the way in which you're standing. And when we stand in this way with a really nice open chest, we can breathe more easily, and we can breathe more deeply. And breathing is just obviously a really essential thing for us, but to breathe well, many of us don't do it. We don't take full breaths. So it's just a really nice thing to be aware of. And it's really hard. If you just now go like this, just sort of slump your shoulders forward and now try and take a deep breath, you'll feel how impossible that will feel. So when we stand in this way, it's just like, it's just such a relief. We can stand tall, and we can breathe really fully, and we can breathe really well. Okay, so we're just going to do a few sort of flowing movements. And as I mentioned before, with this modality, there's a real focus on directed breathing. So we're synchronizing our breath with our movement. So I want you to really tune into that, because again, that's all about us being really mindful in our bodies and not up here in the head. So when I'm directing you to the breath and synchronizing the movement, it's engaging your mind just enough to keep you focused on what you're doing, so that you can't then go off and think about other things. That's the idea behind this, which is why it's a mindful process. Okay, so let's start with we're just going to start with our right wrist in front of our left. So I just want to make sure that you can see. I mean, I'll talk you through it anyway. So our right wrist starts in front of our left. And we're just standing in that nice way that we started. As we breathe in, we're just going to lift, like come up the midline of the body, breathing in. And now as we breathe out, arms are going to slowly come down on the out breath. And as they come down, we're just going to bend our knees. And now we're going to bring our left in front of our right. So alternating which one comes in front. So left in front of right now. As we breathe in, we're going to straighten our legs. Arms coming up the midline. Feel the lightness in that. As we breathe out, arms are coming down. We're bending our knees. So this time right in front of left again. Breathing in, straightening our legs. As we breathe out, arms floating down. And we'll do one last one. So left wrist in front of right. Breathing in, standing up, standing tall. As we breathe out, we're just going to let the arms float down now. Beautiful. All right, so give your arms just a nice little bit of a shake there. We might do some arm rotations now. So as we breathe in, all we're going to do with our arms is rotate them outward. And then as we breathe out, we're going to bend our knees and we're going to rotate our arms all the way as far as they go. And you'll feel that nice stretch through the forearms. So breathing in, standing up, extending the legs. As we breathe out, we're going to bend our knees and rotate inwards. So just notice how that feels in the body. Breathing in, open chest, straight legs. As we breathe out, bending our knees, rotating the arms in. Beautiful. Just give your arms a little bit of a shake. Now again, if anyone has any blood pressure problems, this one might be a little bit strong. So we're just going to bring both of our palms up above our head. So they're like that. And as we breathe in, I'm going to bend my knees and I'm going to push up through my hands. And now as I breathe out, the palms are going to come down to the heart center and I'm going to stand up, so extend my legs. So breathing in, bending our knees, pushing up on the in-breath. And now as I breathe out, arms are going to come down. Let's do one more. Breathing in, pushing up. And as we breathe out, arms coming down. And just letting that go. How are we going for time? We're all good. So we're just going to do something called the anahata breath. So it's like a heart breath, if you like. And we're just having our arms out here at shoulder height. And with this breath, I love to think about a quality that I'm breathing in. And just bring your arms down for a second. And when I'm thinking about the quality that I would like to breathe in, just thinking about what I've got ahead for the day. You know, is there something really stressful that I have to do? Do I need some more tolerance, patience? Or do I just want some zen? Do I want some peace? You know, do I want a lot of love? What is it that I really want to invite in for the day? And that's what I imagine I'm breathing in. So let's start with our arms here at shoulder height. And now breathing in whatever quality it is that we feel that we need, opening the chest right up as we breathe in. Now as we breathe out, bending our knees, palms push away. So breathing in, opening the chest, straight legs. As we breathe out, bending the knees, palms away. Let's do two more. Breathing in, opening our chest. Imagine what we're breathing in is for us, and maybe what we're breathing out is for everyone else around us. So breathing in, what is it? Tolerance, love, patience, peace, and breathing that out for everyone around us. And just bringing our arms down. So we might just do a little bit of a, oh sorry darling, I've got my puppy dog in here who's just down on the ground that I nearly stepped on. We're just going to do a little bit of a spinal twist now. So we've just got our feet, they're still pretty much hip distance apart. And as we breathe in, we're just going to bring our arms up to shoulder height. Then as we breathe out, we're going to take this right foot 90 degrees to the right, pick up that back foot, pivot on our ball of our foot and turn to our right, taking our left hand up onto the right shoulder, taking a breath in here. And as we breathe out, we're just going to come back to the front and arms come down. So breathing in again, taking our left foot to the left. As we breathe out, turning to our left, taking our right hand up onto the left shoulder, taking a breath in here. And now as we breathe out, coming back to the center and arms come down. Okay, with our feet slightly wider apart, like about shoulder distance apart, we're just going to come into a squat. You can do this sitting down as well if that's not a comfortable position for you. But I'm just going to come down into the squat position. And so I'm just going to show you on my side so you can see what's happening with my back. So on the in breath, we're going to dip down with our head coming up. And then on the out breath, we're going to move the spine into this position here. So it's like a cat-cow, but standing up. So I'll face you now. So in breath first, so we're actually dipping down first. So as we breathe in, so imagine that that's coming right up the spine, head's the last thing to come up. And now as we breathe out, the movement from the base of the spine first, imagine coming right up to the top of the spine, then the head drops down as the last thing. Breathing in now, that movement coming from the base of the spine right up, head's the last thing to come up. And breathing out, movement from the base of the spine coming to the top of the spine, head drops down. And one last one as we breathe in and breathing out. So moving our spine in this way is so beneficial for us if we do this every single day. And now just coming back to that neutral position again. And this particular stretch I love because I always have tension through my shoulders. And this is a really lovely way of getting rid of that tension. So I'm going to take a breath in here. And as I breathe out, I'm just going to dip this right shoulder down and I'm going to look up to the left. I'm not moving from the central part. And then breathing in again, coming back to the center. And now as I breathe out, dipping my left shoulder down and turning my head up to the right. And I can really feel that lovely stretch at the top of my back. Breathing in, coming back to the center. Breathing out, dipping my right shoulder down, looking up to the left. Breathing in again, coming back to the center. And last one, dipping my left shoulder down, turning my head to look up to the right. And coming back to the center. All right, now we might do one last little movement, which is my favorite. And I'm just going to take my Ugg boots off to do this. So if you've got Ugg boots on, you might want to take them off. So all we're going to be, you won't be able to see my feet, but I think it's more important you see my arms. And it doesn't really matter what your feet do, really, at the end of the day. But all they are going to do is I'm going to take my right heel to my left ankle, and then I'm going to take my left heel to my right ankle. Had to think about that. And it's tree. It's a beautiful sequence, asana. And when I practice this, I like to think about a tree, because it's all about thinking about those beautiful, like emulating those qualities of the tree, the stability, the wisdom, that they have gleaned over how witnessing so much for so long. They're a giver of life. So just thinking about those beautiful qualities of the tree, that feeling of stability, being sort of grounded, being plugged into the earth beneath us. And I think I visualize, my favorite trees are those Moreton Bay figs, which I love. So whenever I do this, I really visualize them. So it's just, whatever works for you, really. But visualization is another one of those things that I think is incredibly effective as well. Another tool that can really work for us in terms of engaging that parasympathetic part of our nervous system to really calm us down. Very powerful. There's a lot of research around that as well. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this together. So let's just get into that position that we started. So our feet are parallel, roughly hip distance apart. We're standing with our sternum lifted slightly. We've got nice relaxed shoulders. So on this in-breath, I'm going to move my right heel to my left ankle. And then as I breathe in, I'm going to bring both of my palms together above my head on the in-breath. And now as we breathe out, we're just going to draw our palms down to the heart center. So breathing in, we're just going to rotate our palms forward. As we breathe out, extending our arms out to shoulder height. Breathing in again, arms separate. And now as we breathe out, arms are going to float down. I'm going to place our right foot down and arms come down. So let's flow to the other side now. So breathing in, so left heel to right ankle. Breathing in, palms come together above our head. As we breathe out, drawing the palms down to the heart center. Breathing in, rotating forward. As we breathe out, extending our arms out at shoulder height. Breathing in, separating our hands. As we breathe out, foot comes down, palms come down as well. So just finishing that right there. And I'd like you now just to close your eyes and just get a sense of how that feels in the body. And hopefully you're feeling quite peaceful after doing that. I know it certainly gives me a lovely sense of peace, and you know, your body still feels good because it's moved. You know, hopefully if there was any tension, that might have been released now. So I'm hoping that that's your experience. Okay, I'm just going to come back down to sit down. So I'm going to put my jacket back on because it really is quite cold. Okay. I'm hoping it might be a little bit warmer where you guys are. I'm not sure where you all are, but I'm hoping that there's some sunshine happening perhaps. In Sydney it is a little bit grey, but I mean we've been so spoiled with the weather here actually lately. It's been incredible, beautiful, sunny, cool mornings but sunny days, and it's been absolutely spectacular. So we might actually finish the session, and we're going to finish with a coming to your senses, which is just always a really nice way to sort of round out any session. And it's such good practice for us to get into, to be able to drop into that sort of meditative state as often as we can. And I guess just to touch on meditation as such another amazing tool for us to use when we're feeling highly stressed, because you know what it allows us to do, it cultivates that awareness. I think all of this is about cultivating awareness of what's happening in our lives, in our bodies. So I'm just going to move that slightly. And when we meditate, it gives us the ability to observe our thoughts as opposed to being completely enmeshed by them or overwhelmed by them, and a sense that we are those thoughts. Then we sort of become those thoughts. So when we meditate, it's just such a beautiful relief to be able to, even the really difficult thoughts, we're able to actually witness them as opposed to being completely overwhelmed by them. So any chance that you get to practice any meditation, I couldn't recommend it more highly, particularly when you are experiencing a lot of chronic stress. Another fantastic way to deal with stress. And it really doesn't, you know, I think if you asked yourself why you don't try those sorts of things, often most people say, I just haven't got time. And, you know, we've all got 1 or 2 minutes that we can find. And even 1 or 2 minutes of meditation can really help quite profoundly. And even just, you know, day-to-day mindfulness, that's really helpful as well. Because anytime we're sort of focusing our attention specifically on something, there you go, buddy. We are taking ourselves out of those ruminating sort of thoughts, those really unhelpful thoughts that we have a lot of the time. So, you know, getting out in nature, I'm a massive cloud lover. So for me, if I'm, looking at the sky, and I'm always in awe. Whenever I put myself in a situation where I feel awestruck, that to me is a beautiful way to practice mindfulness and take ourselves out of our lives for a moment or two. And that's actually so healing. It's such a healing environment that we create when we do that for ourselves. All right, so let's finish off with our final coming to our senses. So let's just get comfortable again. Sorry, my puppy dog can't decide if he wants to be inside or out. Okay, all right, so just getting nice and comfortable. Closing your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. You don't have to. And just let's take all of our awareness to the breath. Notice, where do we feel our breath most keenly in the body? And let's just hold our attention right there on that place in the body. Following the breath. This breath can really engage that parasympathetic part of our nervous system so easily, actually. So whenever we're feeling overwhelmed, the breath is just taking a few conscious breaths. That in of itself can be so helpful to bring us out of that sympathetic flight state. So as you're sitting here now and just really focusing on the feeling of your breath in the body, see if you can notice how that relaxation response, what does that feel like in the body when you're sitting here completely relaxed? See if you can become aware of any tension in the body. Can you feel any tension in the body? If you're feeling tension through the shoulders, any discomfort in the body somewhere, just see if you can direct the out breath towards that area, and just take a few slow, deep breaths, directing the breath towards that area, and you'll find that you'll sense the relaxation happening. Because wherever you place your attention, that's where the breath will follow. So just do that for a couple of minutes here. So just noticing the sensations of the breath. Where do you feel it in the body? How does it move your body when you breathe? Can you feel the waves of relaxation happening? Maybe just doing a quick little scan of the body. Again, just directing that out breath towards any areas where you're feeling tension, you're feeling some sort of unease in the body. Every time your mind wanders elsewhere, just constantly bringing it back to the breath, where you can feel that breath in the body. So the breath can be a great anchor for most people. For anyone who finds it really difficult, or they might feel sort of breathless if they focus on the breath, I would recommend using sound as an anchor. So let's sort of switch to sound now, just to feel how that feels different. So just not opening our eyes, but just switching now to bringing all of our focus and attention to sound. Any sound that you can pick up in your environment there. And you'll normally find some sort of consistent sound around you that you can use and keep coming back to. So the idea being, if the mind starts to wander, you just bring it back to the sounds, any sounds you can hear. My voice coming and going, soft sounds in your room, any voices you can hear in your household. Continually coming back to sounds when that mind wanders, which it will do. It's designed to do that. So don't beat yourself up for it. Just gently bringing it back to the anchor. Let's just take one last deep breath in. And just a nice relaxed out breath. And when you're ready, just opening your eyes. And, you know, something like a simple little practice like that, which was probably only 5 minutes, can be a game changer. So as much as you can, and you can do it anywhere, you know, you don't need anything to be able to do that. You're either focusing on your breath or sounds. It's completely portable. You don't need your phone. You don't need headphones. If that works for you, it's a really super simple and effective way to manage your stress as well. All right. I wish I was better on this and I could see if people were messaging me and then I could take questions, but I'm sorry, this is my first Quest Connect and I still don't know how to find messages. Hang on, let me just hang on. Give me one moment. Thank you for everyone who was there, who's here. Oh, thanks. Glyn's feeling more relaxed and grounded. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here with me today, everyone. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday and the week ahead. And I really hope for those of you who haven't experienced Quest for Life and the programs there, and you're feeling and you're really dealing with some challenge, I really recommend that you get yourself down there. It's the programs are incredible. The transformation of people from Monday to Friday that I've witnessed over all the years never ceases to like blow my mind. So if you have been thinking about it or it's been on your radar, don't hesitate. Just book in. You know what? You will never regret it. You will never regret it. I've never seen anyone regret the decision of spending the week there at Quest, even if it's just to get away from your life for a week. You're so well looked after. The food is incredible. The surrounds are so beautiful, and it's so peaceful. It's such a peaceful place to be. It's a wonderful. You just get such a sense of it being a safe environment to rest, relax, and to heal in. So yes, please, please, please get yourself down there if you can. And if you've got any questions about it, just call up. Everyone's so helpful there, and they can talk you through exactly what it looks like, what sort of funding you might be eligible for as well. So if finances are a problem, you can talk to them about that, and they will give you some great advice around that as well. Okay, everyone, sending you so much love, and I really hope that you can take something out of today and bring it into your life and really help you to manage the stresses that you are experiencing at the moment. We'll see you next time. See you. Bye. Mwah.